Cool. So I'm from completely different area. So we're going to go into the weeds of game development, and I will share some things I learned throughout the process. But before that, I'm checking a sentiment analysis now. So what do you think? What's your sentiment analysis when I say our studio is using AI-generated assets in our game? Is it positive or negative? What do you feel? If it's positive, raise your hand. Okay. If it's negative, raise your hand. Okay, thank you. And if you have no opinion, so don't raise your hand. So it's just to tell you, it was mostly positive from your side. How does it work? Can we skip this? Oh, there's a lag. Can we skip the slide? It doesn't work. Oh, I need to turn. Is there a manual to control the slides? Oh, you saw the questions from. Okay, so let's go to the slide 3. Yeah, even the controller is tired now. Okay, so what is the sentiment analysis for? We are using AI-generated content as an inspiration for our game. Is it positive? Raise your hand if it's positive for you. Okay, and if it's negative, raise your hand. Okay, cool. So there's no one who thinks that it's negative to use AI-generated content just for an inspiration. Next slide. Who agrees with this statement? I would hire an AI artist, and price is higher and results are on par with regular artists. Who would say yes? Okay. Who would say no? And most of you don't have an opinion about that. Okay, next slide. Yeah, maybe. I would hire an AI artist if price and results are the same as regular artists. So if you do, please raise your hand. Okay, and you wouldn't hire. Okay, so yeah, the audience are not game developers. So go to next slide. So would you hire an AI artist if he is cheaper than a regular artist and results would be the same? Okay, so we're in a position, right? That's why I think we have this talk today. Okay, next slide. Who would agree with this statement? I would hang an AI painting in my home. Okay, and next slide. And I would pay for it a regular painting price, which would be probably 5,000 euros. Yeah, you see, so there's something in ourselves, how we perceive AI creations, and I will probably talk a little bit about it. So next slide. So my name is Vaidas. I am from CHARK Studio. I am producer and creative director, and it's a very interesting position because as a creative, I think of something cool, and unfortunately, as a producer, I have to do it. So it's like two people living in my head all the time, and it's exhausting and awesome at the same time. And I don't see the next slide. What is the next slide? It's empty. No, you should refresh the. It's crazy. Did we lose? Did we lose like 30 slides? I think you should just reload. If you loaded this today, I just finished slides like half an hour ago. Okay, so do we make a pause or? I think so. Let's make a technical pause and try to load. So it's like 5 minutes. I see a thumbs up. What does it mean? Now it's good. Now it's good. Can we have a next slide? Okay, I would like to go back. Can I see the next slide, please? So I could see the next slide, please. Here. I wouldn't be able to see the next slide, right? Okay, so I don't remember. Let's go. Next slide. Can you name one thing in this photo? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's a kind of famous photo. It's an AI-generated photo in 2019. So that's where the thing started to get kind of crazy because AI-generated images started being kind of something, but not yet something. And I think it's a kind of like a watershed moment. Next slide, please. And the biggest thing happened in 2021, January 5. And I have this moment etched in my memory for the rest of my life. I was working at the company on working on a game, and these avocado chairs came in. It was a project done by OpenAI that combined ChatGPT. It wasn't ChatGPT yet. It was GPT models with DALL-E models. And I was like, it can't be true. And I was like looking around the office, finding people for whom I can scream a lot and tell, can you see that? So I took one person, sat her down, and I had a rant about, do you know what it means for like creative people? Do you know how many jobs will be changed? Because like the whole pipelines will change in a few years, because this, you have to pay money to do that, like for an artist. And it was not public at the moment. There was no Midjourney generator at that time, but yeah, it was clear that AI will change things a lot. Let's go, next slide. Do you know this photo? Okay, this photo won a Sony Worldwide Photography Award 2022. The author did not take the award because it was the first AI-generated photo that won a photography award. So he decided to make an experiment and applied as an analog photography professional, as he was, but with a AI photo. And it was like probably one of the most famous AI photos of ever. Yeah, and only when he won, he kind of said that it was an AI photo. Next, please. So there's a lot of, so the AI versus creativity, this is a very good topic. Actually, it was proposed by a colleague, Richardas, the topic for the talk. It's very dividing and like pros and cons. There's so much happening now in the game development scene about AI and creativity. There's a lot of drama. Next slide. When Midjourney started, Midjourney is an image generator that showed up in 2022, and most of the AI images you see are made by Midjourney or another model, Stable Diffusion. So when AI images started to become much better than that in 2019, people started protesting, artists started protesting, and this is ArtStation. It's a website where people put their art. And that's how ArtStation looked when Midjourney was on the rise. So people just started putting these images, and now there's option to opt out when you go to Sketchfab or any website where you can put your art. You can opt out from training. So, for example, you put your image there, and you say that it cannot be trained because every image before was trained on every artist's work that was done before. And now when you put your images inside internet on these platforms, you can opt out from training future AIs. Next slide. Memes started becoming quite good in 2022, 2023. So there are like no dramas here. Everyone loved it. Next slide. There was a problem with Midjourney in around 2022, 2023, between version 3 and 4. I would call it as like reinforcement learning loop. What it means is that only beautiful women and sexualized women were being generated. So when you ask for a woman, middle-aged or old, it was always very beautiful girls showing up. So the thing is that it's very interesting. It's like from human psychology, most of the users at the time in 2022, both for Stable Diffusion and Midjourney, were guys, were geeks in essence. And what Midjourney thought of is like, okay, how do we make better? So we always rely on user feedback. So when you ask for a generated image in Midjourney, they give you 4 possibilities for an image. And then you pick one and you say, I like it, I like the other one. So what Midjourney did is that retrained the whole model on what users liked. And what users liked is like beautiful women. And it was super crazy time where you couldn't generate something weird because everything was super nice, etc. I think right now we are out of this loop. There are more training, more diversity, but yeah, it's just a random images I found right now. I wrote beautiful woman, and these 2 images came in Google. Let's go. Next slide. Okay, so but there's no drama in science. Do you know who won Nobel Prize in physics and chemistry this year? And maybe you talked about it today? No? Okay, so in physics, neural networks won Nobel Prize, which was kind of surprising because it's physics, not computer science. But they showed the roots coming from like mathematical analysis of physical process, how neural networks store memories. And next day, chemistry award for Nobel Award for Chemistry was awarded for computerized protein design, and 2 of the winners were from Google's DeepMind laboratory that trained AlphaFold model to learn about the structures of proteins. So in science, AI is super hot thing. Everyone uses it, and yeah, it's like a week ago, 2 Nobel Prizes went for AI. Next slide, please. So what do I bring to the conversation here? Not much. Next. I will share some experience about me working on some games, and there's this game called Unveiling, which we released 9 months ago, 10 months ago. Next slide, please, and play the video. I hope there's sound. Do we have sound from video? It wouldn't work if there's no sound. Nice.
Come closer. Show me who you are.
It is a 25-minute experience, black and white, showing an alien abduction. You're driving a car and you're being abducted by an alien, and then something happens what you don't expect. That's our small pitch. the idea is to show the confrontation between the human intelligence and non-human intelligence. And what happens if there is non-human intelligence that's much, much, much further in the evolution than a human intelligence, and how would it treat human history? So from the very beginning of the idea, I wanted to do the non-human intelligence as a woman who is not a woman. So the voice that you heard is not a woman's voice, and I can get in trouble because we not stated that, and it's the first time everyone hears about it, because it is on purpose generated by a 11 Labs model. And next slide, please.
Little boy, I will tell you a story.
No, next slide. I think, yeah, this one.
But the world was not enough.
I need sound.
Eyes to the sky, to the gods. Fire, fire to the sky. Little boy who likes to play with fire. What a puzzle. Let us meet.
So intentionally, I was looking for at the time, there was a revolution in AI voice, and I wanted to do like kind of creepy voice. If it was digitized, it was cool, but then I scoured the internet for specific models, and I found this Nicole model, that's whispering model, and it became this non-human intelligence voice. And next slide, please.
But the world was not.
So to do that, in total, I think there are probably 5 minutes of speaking. The woman speaks for this intelligence speaks probably 5 minutes. Spread out, it's 10 minutes. But I had to do thousands of takes, working with that, snippet by snippet, snippet by snippet. And it's the process is stochastic and non-deterministic. This means that you never know what you're going to get. So you write a sentence, you press generate, and you don't know what's going to come out. So it was super interesting to direct this voice, because I kind of know what to expect, but at the same time, the less information I provide for it, the worse it gets. So if the sentences are longer, it kind of understands what intonation to use. But if the sentences get shorter and shorter, it got crazy. So next slide.
Yes. 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 Go. 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 No. No. No.
So you would never know what result you would get. So I think I had 1,000 generated. Now after cleanup, it was just checked 500 left, and out of these 500, probably 80 snippets were used in the game. So it's voice is the new frontier, new battle right now in Hollywood in general, because images are done. Now comes the voice, and the actors are protesting again, and it's not clear what to do. Maybe some of you know what's happening, but I think we're going to go this route of licensing a voice. So actors would just kind of license the voice and would take money for how much this voice was used in the movie, because right now, you probably know all the memes. It's we can generate any president that has spoken before synthetically. So voice, image is done, voice is done, video is not yet done, and 3D modeling is not yet done. Let's go. I'm going to talk about another game I'm working on. It's Beyond the Blue. It's a story about a girl who is healing from depression, or from Depression in a broad sense, not very in a clinical sense. It's inspired by Ghibli aesthetics, and you are responsible for her state of mind, and you're trying to help her get out of the depression by choosing the right thoughts in her life. And for that, in around, again, 2022 to 23, Midjourney was trained on lots of Ghibli movies, and if you use some specific arguments, you could get images that resemble Ghibli Studio. Next slide. So this is how I went towards the idea. I worked a lot with Journey and trying to find out how her life, how her house could look like using this aesthetic, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. It does remind Ghibli aesthetic. Next slide. There are glitches, of course. You can see that it's 2 years old. Now it could be much better. Next. Yeah, so these are the 8, 12, I have more screenshots that I was like building the idea, building the concept around. Next slide. And we worked with an artist just to integrate the character that we created and just to change some, change the pictures, make them logical, clean them up, etc. But in general, I think it's like 80% of like job was done by AI, and we just worked on top. Okay, so now we're like we confirm the idea. We're gonna go with this, and we go into production. Oh, let's say better by production. Next slide. And there's the issue of control. That's the biggest issue with AI is control, and in a sense, you don't have it with images. Next slide. So during the initial month of real work with amazing artist Laura, I think we dropped AI images like in 2 weeks. We understood it's not going to work. We don't have the control. So why? Because the game is point and click. I need specific items put in specific places that on specific, behind specific object, and it's impossible to do that with AI. So I need a specific angle, right? So we dropped AI completely, and now we're working just completely by hand with an artist, producing really quality pictures. Next slide. Yeah, so this is one of the ideas that this is my feedback, right? I always draw a lot, go there, do that, and I couldn't do that with AI. AI does not give you the minute control I need. And there's also lighting, which we need to control lighting. We need to control details. We need to control movement of lighting, etc. So yeah, it's good for pre-production, for idea setting, but then when you go into something deeper, into production, AI doesn't work. Next slide. For everything is here hand-drawn. We also use just 3D modeling a little bit to be faster. Okay, next slide. So in essence, just to be faster, the problem with image generation and going into pre-production or production with AI images is that you do not control details, you do not control composition, and you do not control lighting. There's no way to do that easily. There are tools where you can go in more precisely about these 3 topics, but they're very, very technical, and the result again is non-deterministic and stochastic. Next slide. So before I jump, this is not an AI-generated image. This is our amazing artist that draws like that, and the game will be made with such from these beautiful pictures. Yeah, and to conclude, I want to say a few things. Next slide. Has anyone heard of a dead internet theory? Okay, yeah. So the problem is, I took it probably from Twitter, but I just checked it just before coming here. That's why it's in Spanish. But if you write anything now on Google, most of the, if you go to images, most of the stuff is AI generated already. So as I said, I showed you two beautiful women. I just wrote beautiful woman in Google, and these two showed up as two most like popular pictures. So the dead internet theory says or speculates that the more bots we have, the more AI works. It just compresses the whole internet and is being bombarded by artificial content. So yeah, in regards to creativity, I don't really know how to do that, how to control that. I think we can train models to understand that this is done by another model, but Pinterest and Google Images are now full of artificially generated images, and Twitter is full of bots. And we are kind of, it was predicted 3 years ago, and unfortunately we are here. And yeah, the last thing I want to tell, next slide, is also about the question of perceived value. It's really hard to understand, do we actually value AI or not? And that's why I had a few questions with you before starting, is that, for me it's interesting, but then when I hear it was done by AI, it kind of diminishes the value for some reason, and it's hard to say why. And there are discussions right now, it's like, when people, like on Reddit, like people talk is like, when they make games and make like images just for promotion with AI, it's like people, the cringe is like, ugh, I don't want it. People don't want AI images for some reason. And so next slide. So to conclude, right, it's very good for pre-production. I use it in 2 games just to have a sparring partner, just to gather ideas, make a mirror board, and just understand, just to have a better idea. But in game development, it's not really ready yet. Not also because of the legal reasons, but because of the control. We don't have the control. And I myself probably don't have a value criteria. Is it good or is it bad? AI and creativity and taking artists' work. I'm torn myself. As I said, I'm a creative, but at the same time producer. So as a creative, I really want to do like my own stuff and very unique. But at the same time, as a producer, I always think how to do it faster and cheaper. So, and it's like, I have no answers. And I have a dog in the game, but I don't know what to say about it. Yeah, and then the next slide. So that's it. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, probably we can have in a discussion. I'm on Twitter. If you want to connect with me, check out that QR code. Thank you.